The night I became a believer in the paranormal is one I'll never forget. It's only been about 5 years, but I know I'll remember it forever. My parents raised me to be open-minded mostly, and I didn't come from a strict or deeply religious family. We just never really talked about or believed in the paranormal. Occasionally a documentary would come on TV and my dad would say, "No thanks, a whole hour of people scaring themselves when the wind blows or floors creak." In stark contrast, my best friend Lainey and her parents were huge believers, and had even shared some of their paranormal stories when I stayed for dinner sometimes. One weekend, Lainey and her parents invited me to go with to their family cabin. They didn't go often because it was split between all 7 of Lainey's mom's siblings, so they all fought over time. I had heard Lainey talk constantly about how much fun they always had up there, so I was excited to go. We packed up and drove for what seemed like 5 hours, but was probably around about 2. I had heard how cool it was, but I couldn't have imagined it was like this. Anytime someone had said cabin until then, I had imagined a run-down log cabin in the woods near a lake with a scary old dock. But this was more like a cabin mansion, at least to my teenage self. It had 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a fireplace, a swimming pool, and there was even a hot tub on the back deck. The fireplace wasn't just a hole in the ground surrounded by bricks. It was a fancy metal one surrounded by nice patio furniture. "You weren't kidding, this place is awesome," I said, throwing my bag down. We were going for a swim right away. Lainey told me to wear my swimming suit so we didn't have to waste time changing when we got there. It was tradition that everyone jumped in to kickstart vacation. After our swim, I went upstairs to shower and change while Lainey used the downstairs guest shower. I placed my towel over the towel bar by the shower and my clothes on the counter before hopping in. But when I was done, my towel was on the floor about 5 feet away from the towel bar, and my clothes were strewn about the floor as well. After I got dressed, I asked Lainey if she had come into the bathroom, but she swore she hadn't. "It's time for dinner, come on down when you're done, Jazz," said Lainey. We had dinner and then made s'mores on the campfire, while her parents told ghost stories. Most of them sounded ridiculous to me, and I had a hard time holding back my laughter at times. I mean, come on. Lights flickering, banging sounds, it was always the same old thing. Later, we headed up to our rooms to get into pajamas and brush our teeth. But instead, Lainey said, "Speaking of ghosts, let's go up to the attic and see if my old Ouija board is still up there." "Should we really be going up to the attic? Your parents told us to get ready for bed," I asked. "They just want us to get out of their hair. Let's go see if it's still up there," Lainey responded. "Okay, I mean it's a board game. They'll probably just be happy we aren't playing on our phones," I said. There was a long wooden drop-down ladder that led to the attic, and we had to hurry to make sure we weren't caught. Lainey went first since she knew where she was going. When I got to the top of the ladder, I looked around, taking in everything I was seeing. "Wow, it's like an entire additional house," I said. The attic wasn't furnished, but it had nice hardwood floors. It was really spacious, and neatly organized for an attic, surprisingly. "Here it is! I found it! Hurry back down," Lainey said, coming into sight with a box in her hand. Back in my room, she opened the box and said, "Come on, let's see if we can talk to someone." Now, kids, before we hear the rest of my story, I implore you never to play with a Ouija board. The box may say it's a game, but it's not. And I didn't know any better at the time, but I do now. Okay, the rules are simple. Don't let go, and don't make it move. I won't either. We have to trust each other so we know if it's moving we've really summoned something," said Janie. We sat there for probably 5 full minutes, Janie asking it questions, and nothing happening. Then the planchette started moving, and at first I thought she was messing with me. "You're just trying to get me to believe in your ghost stories," I said, laughing. But I could tell by the look on her face, she wasn't moving it. "If I'm not moving it, and you're not moving it, pay attention to what it's spelling," Lainey yelled. "Please repeat whatever you were saying," Lainey said. MICHELLE. Michelle. "Hi, Michelle. I'm Lainey, and this is Jazz." But we didn't get to ask any more questions, because Lainey's mom came up to tell us to go to bed, so she had to leave my room. I was laying in bed, trying to get comfortable. No, the bed wasn't uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, it was more comfortable than my bed at home. But I was feeling off about the whole Ouija board incident. I still wasn't 100% sure that it wasn't Lainey trying to get me to believe. And I was just having trouble falling asleep in general, it being a new place for me and all. Eventually I dozed off, because I was woken out of a deep sleep by the sound of someone stomping around in my room. It sounded like someone was pacing around rather angrily at the foot of my bed. "Hello?" I asked. "Is anyone there?" Of course there was no response, and I felt like a complete idiot for having a moment of weakness and believing in the possibility of a spirit being in my room. I didn't get to dwell on it long, because suddenly there was a handprint on the old comforter, as if someone was pushing down on the bed. Then I felt the mattress lower, like someone sat down next to me. That was enough to finally freak me out. I ran to Lainey's room and explained to her what had happened. I stayed in her room the rest of the weekend, and I never made fun of her or her family again when they told us ghost stories. Ah, yes, you learned a valuable lesson. Never take your fingers off the planchette without saying goodbye first. Thanks so much for submitting your story. It takes a big person to be able to admit when they're wrong. If you have a paranormal story to share, email it to the address in the description below. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow, friends.